everybody. Let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. If you are watching the recording, give me a hashtag recording. We will start this thing here in a few minutes. Welcome to the call. Let's get this thing going. Feel free to send this out to a friend, a family member that's looking to learn. And today's going to be an incredible call. We've got a special guest here for you. Real estate legend. Continue to spread the word. We're starting here in a few minutes. Welcome, everybody, to the State of Crypto October edition. Today, this is an individual who has done incredible things in real estate. He has sold properties for tens of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. Trust me when I tell you, you want to hear him speak. He does not get on podcasts. He does not get on calls. It is a rare occasion. And today we have him live. Send out this YouTube link. We'll start here in about 3 minutes. Welcome to the call. Get your popcorn ready. What's up, Illinois? What's up, Abby Lazy? Happy Saturday. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Let's get this thing started. How's everybody doing? First off, welcome to the call. Put some ones in the chat if you guys can see the screen and you guys can see me and hear me clearly. I'm excited that you're here. I can tell you that it's going to be an incredible call. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mike Sotero. I've been an entrepreneur for the past 11 years. I've been in the crypto space since 2017. I've taught hundreds of thousands of people, the basics and I've done this in live events, right? We've filled up stadiums teaching and educating, and online we've taught a lot of people as well. And I do this call every month. It's called The State of Crypto. And today you're going to hear from a special guest. One of my very, very close friends will be joining us here in the next few minutes as we get this thing going. We're going to bring him in like the middle, and then we'll close out with an interview. And I'll tell you this, you might want to send this out to a friend, because when people say things like, oh, there's no utility in Bitcoin, right? How many of y'all have heard that before? Bitcoin has no utility. Mr. Ryan Farbstein has sold properties for tens of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency, and he was doing it years ago. One of the first people to really take advantage of this model, and I can't wait for him to join us here in a few minutes. So on these State of Crypto calls, here's kind of the expectations. Okay, I do this call one time per month. I'm going to give you the date for the next call in a few minutes at the end. Okay, right now we're going to stream this on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, say hello in the chat. I see you guys over there. I'm looking at the chat real quick. Good to see you guys. And if you guys can do me a favor, hit that like button so more people on YouTube know we are live. Okay. Now, today we're going to address the past 30 days in crypto. We're also going to talk about what's coming in a couple weeks with this US election. And it's going to get spicy. Okay. We're also going to talk about how to build a profitable portfolio, and everything I teach you, I do myself. I think it's really important in life that you follow people that are actually doing it themselves, but most importantly, that are helping other people do it as well. You know, a great leader or a great mentor is not somebody who mentors followers, but a great leader or a great mentor builds leaders and builds mentors, or builds great traders, or builds great people in this space. And today, like I said, we're going to have a real estate legend in the building. And most importantly, the expectation is I don't gatekeep anything. I believe that if you put good out, you'll get good in return. So we're not gatekeeping anything. I'm going to share with you guys some really, really cool stuff here today. Now, here are the topics for today's call. I see you guys in the chat. What's up, Lindsay, Natasha, Matthew, Raul? Let me know where you're tuning in from if you haven't already. Okay, we're going to talk about what has happened in October. A lot of stuff is going on in crypto, and this is the call to be every month, where we talk about some of the most important events. We're going to talk about the dollar, right? This affects everybody on today's call. Okay, whether you are in the US or not, the dollar is traded all around the world. And if the dollar is doing something and you're in another country like Mexico or Peru or in Europe or in Africa, there's ways to make money from that, okay? We're also going to talk about Solana. You guys know I've been bullish on Solana when it first started, and a lot of my students, they caught some entries at a very, very low position. If you're one of my students in the chat, what price did you buy Solana? What price were you dollar cost averaging into Solana? I'm very curious. Okay. Good to see you guys. What's up, Adam, Leah, India in the building? Nice. We're also going to talk about a little bit of DeFi here today. And then we're gonna bring up the conversation. I'm excited to bring Ryan in here in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about, like, what is the market going to do if Trump wins versus Kamala Harris winning? We'll keep the meat and potatoes of politics out of it, but there is a cause and effect to everything. Now, personally, my opinion, just to get it out the way, the market in Bitcoin is going to go up regardless over the next couple of years. Crypto's here to stay, but we'll talk about a little bit of that here today. And then we're going to answer this question, and Ryan's going to hammer this down, is can you buy and sell real estate using crypto? How many people in the chat, let me know in the chat if you have wondered or thought about buying land or buying real estate in crypto. It's already happening, and I'll share with you guys some websites here today. So I have a question, are you ready to get started? We're going to leave the PowerPoint. I'm not really a big fan of PowerPoints, and we're going to get into the information. Put a 1 in the chat if you're ready to go. Wow, somebody said they dollar cost averaging at 12, at 20, at 15, at 12. So maybe we do know what we're talking about. I don't know. Let's get this thing rolling. And shout out those Dodgers. Yeah, shout out if you're a Yankees fan. We can be friends because you're here, but man, what a crazy World Series game 1 yesterday. So Let's talk about what's going on in the markets. Yesterday, for a short period of time, this is stocks, but yeah, this is important. NVIDIA actually passed Apple, I think for a couple hours, as the #1 company in market cap in the world. Well, why is this important? NVIDIA plays a major role in Bitcoin. Well, how? NVIDIA helps make the chips for Bitcoin miners. So I think NVIDIA will be the biggest company and it'll stay there for quite some time. But the purpose of me showing this to you is, do you guys see where it says Apple, NVIDIA? Those are companies, right? And do you see where it says market cap? This is how much money is in this company, essentially 3.5 trillion, 3.4 trillion. Do you understand that all of crypto is only at about 2.3 trillion today? And you're talking tens of thousands of coins and companies and Bitcoin and all these different things. Wow, you guys did so well getting in early. It pays to get plugged in, brother. So my point is do you see how one company, right, NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, these are all bigger, essentially, than all of crypto. So the magic question, if you're on here and maybe you're not into crypto or you're like kind of skeptical, maybe somebody invited you on here, you're not too late to the game. Now, I'm going to be real, you're not early. Okay, you're not early, but you're not late. So how you navigate this market is important. And if anything I say today sounds Chinese or foreign or you don't understand, it's okay. I will just take some notes. I'll give you some resources at the end that you can, go through for free. Now let's talk about some of the things that have happened in October that I think you should know. If you were in crypto 2, 3, 4 years ago, maybe pre-COVID or right after COVID, right? Elon really got involved, and Elon made like, what do you make? 58 billion or 28 billion or 58 billion 2 days ago when the stock pumped 20%. He's the richest man in the world by 58 billion. That's the number. He's the richest man in the world right now. And the second place is like 58 billion less. And here's the point is Tesla is going crazy. Their stock, it was at $12 pre-COVID. It's at 260 right now. And they have been buying Bitcoin. And one of the, concerns is the richest man in the world is buying Bitcoin. Is he going to sell it? And they just released their Q3? Yeah, Q3 report saying that they're still holding all their Bitcoin. Now we know, right, Elon is heavily in crypto. He's working with Trump on some stuff, blah, blah, blah. I think, right, Tesla, if they're smart, and I think they will accept Bitcoin. That's been rumored for a long time. We're going to talk about real estate and accepting Bitcoin here in a few, but I think that's important for you to know. Now, in simple terms, let's go from Bitcoin to Solana, right? Put a 2 in the chat if you've heard about Solana. Solana is one of the coolest projects in crypto. Okay, we use this website here for unbiased research. It's called CoinGecko. Solana right now is the 5th biggest crypto. A lot of those people in the chat, we were buying this at 8, 15, 20, 25, 30 bucks last year. And it's about $80 billion in market cap. It's 5 billion away from being the 4th biggest cryptocurrency in the world. And in my opinion, this will easily surpass Tether, and it'll get very close to this number on this next run. Okay. Earlier this year, basically, and keep this very simple, institutions or banks started legally buying Bitcoin in the form of like a stock per se, called an ETF, a spot ETF. And Bitcoin was first, Bitcoin was first to do it. And if we take a look when that happened, these ETFs for Bitcoin came about when the market had fallen. Okay, these are some charts we're going to go over here today. And the ETFs launched, okay, I believe it was this. Let's go here to this chart, the daily. Bitcoin right now is trading at 66,000. The ETF was this, right? It was going into, was it this? The ETF speculation started earlier in the year, and then it dropped, And then the ETFs went live, like they started to go live around here. So what did that mean? Institutions, companies like Van Eck and BlackRock and Fidelity and all these different companies, they started going to their investors, going to their hedge funds, going to their larger clientele and saying, hey, if you want exposure, you don't have to own the physical Bitcoin. You can get it through this financial instrument, essentially. Okay. That's what happened for Bitcoin. They started buying, boom, Bitcoin takes off. Bitcoin's at 66,000 now. We have the halving event, which is an event that takes place every 4 years in crypto. I spoke about that in the last call, so I'm not going to go over it here today. It happened in April. Every 4 years it happens. It happened in April of this year. The last time it happened, okay, Bitcoin was down here. Happened in 2020, somewhere over here. And every 4 years, Bitcoin goes on a crazy run. And I think people are naive to believe that Bitcoin will not do the same thing on this next 4-year period, which is going to take us to 2028. So here's the point, is I'm bullish on crypto, obviously. Are you? But I'm also bullish on other I'm bullish on Bitcoin, but I'm also bullish on other cryptos. And what Van Eck has decided to do is in Van Eck Europe. Okay, so Van Eck is a company just like BlackRock, just like Fidelity, and they have a Bitcoin ETF. Let me show you something real quick. Van Eck, as of June of this year, has $107 billion under management. Compared to Fidelity and BlackRock, Fidelity has about 5 trillion. BlackRock has about 10 trillion. This is not the biggest company, but here's look at this. They only have 1% of all their assets under management in digital assets. That's crypto, everybody. Okay. 1% in crypto. And what they're launching in Europe, Van Eck Europe, and I think this will bleed into the US eventually, is they are going to be buying Solana through this ETF. But then here's the thing. Some of these cryptocurrencies, they offer what we call a yield. Okay, just like your savings account has a yield. Let's make this bigger. Where is the... Let me move the Zoom thing over here. Okay, just like your savings account has a yield, it's interest. Okay, so by holding something, by holding dollars, you earn interest, right? Sound familiar? And when you hold cryptocurrency, you actually have the ability in some of these cryptos to earn interest on your crypto. So what Van Eck is doing is they're going to be raising money and staking Solana. This is massive. Okay, I'm not going to go too much deeper into that, but that is massive for Solana. Now, how many of you guys know this company called Stripe? It's a very big company. If you ever bought anything online, Stripe is probably the back end merchant, like when you do Apple Pay or you pay with your credit card. And Stripe used to accept crypto, 2018. They got away from crypto. Guys, Stripe processed $1 trillion last year. Okay, $1 trillion. Some of the biggest like e-commerce stores and brands, they use Stripe on the back end. Stripe takes a percentage. And now they are going to be offering, so you and me will be able to go and like we want to buy a hat on an e-commerce store. That e-commerce store has the ability now to accept cryptocurrency. Now, not only any cryptocurrency, take a look at this. They are going to use USDC, and they're going to use USDC on, I believe it's the Solana network. Okay. Crypto on Stripe is officially back. Now, why is that important? Is because crypto and main adoption is happening. On my channel that we're on right now, I put out a video called Jupiter Mobile will send Solana to $1,000 and above. Go watch that later. It's 4 minutes, okay? Now, also, Stripe, okay? This is like really important if you're skeptical about crypto and you're not sure, like, is it going to like be in my everyday life? Please watch this. Stripe last week purchased a company for $1 billion called Bridge. Here's all you need to know. Bridge moves money from crypto to physical dollars or to like your bank account. So you can go from crypto, USDC, or USDT into pesos, into euros, into dollars. It's the back end system for payments. And what a lot of people don't understand is until crypto is at the point where people are using it without knowing it, we're not there yet. Like, we're not there yet. Like, there was a game, you can write this not down. There was a game that was released 2 weeks ago called Off the Grid on Avalanche's network. People are playing this game. It looks like Call of Duty, and they don't even know that it's actually helping. But we got Ryan in the building. You guys are going to hear from him in a few minutes. Okay. People don't even know that they are literally dealing with cryptocurrency. Okay. Think about that. And that's really where we're at and where we're going. Yeah. Now take a look at this. I want to show you guys something here. Yesterday, okay, we're going to bring Ryan up here in about 5 minutes. So make sure you guys continue to promote this, hit the like button on this channel, and send this out. It's about to get interesting here in the next couple minutes. Now, yesterday, okay, right now we're talking about all the major events that have been taking place in October. Yesterday, Wall Street Journal, of course, mainstream media here, they put out an article saying, is it similar to the XRP use case? George, yes, but it'll be used differently. It'll be used more for like shopping and stuff like that. XRP will be used for like paying employees and moving banks' money, essentially. Yesterday, Wall Street Journal puts out this article that the CEO of Tether, okay, USDT, it's the third biggest cryptocurrency. Okay, they have 120 billion under management or in their crypto. Wall Street Journal basically says, hey, they're under investigation. And yesterday, how many of you guys saw the prices of crypto just tank? Okay. Prices of crypto yesterday just absolutely fall. You have Bitcoin go from, and I'll give my thoughts on this here in a second. You have Bitcoin just completely run to the downside, hit 65. And I think we might come back down here. I'll go over some charts in a second. Now, the CEO of Tether comes out to say, like, this is not true. We're not under investigation. And the market kind of bounces back up. Now, the reason that this is important is because this is like, think of this like the dollar. The dollar is supposed to back this up. And if this goes down, crypto is in some trouble. Now, there has been that rumor for a long time, and I don't think it will happen. But I think the fear of it happening can move the market to the downside. And when the market moves aggressively to the downside, what happens? Somebody in the chat, tell me what happens when you're dealing with a manipulated market. Normal people get scared, but we can see, okay, because everything in crypto is transparent if you don't know this. You can see on the back end that Bitcoin on exchanges is at an all-time low. The amount of people that are holding Bitcoin and not selling it, not moving it, is at an all-time high. You can see every transaction that happens publicly because it's a public ledger. You don't know what your bank's doing with your money, right? But when there's fear, okay, let's talk about this. When there's fear in the market, you now have companies like MicroStrategy. You now have companies like MetaPlanet. I don't even know what this company was. This company called MetaPlanet just bought $56 million of Bitcoin, okay? This is a Japanese company, and you're dealing with a crypto that has a limited supply of 21 million. And I think regardless, we'll have pro-crypto regulation in the US. And when you start to have companies that put Bitcoin on their balance sheets, like MicroStrategy, I don't know if you guys know this, but MicroStrategy has actually outperformed Bitcoin. Okay, MicroStrategy is a publicly traded company. They've already done multiple stock splits. Okay, MicroStrategy down here was at $12. There was a stock split, but you can still see it's up 1,700%. And guess what? This company will probably be I think it's about to be evaluated at $1 trillion if it's not already, because they're holding so much Bitcoin. So guess what? Other companies around the world are seeing the same thing. They're buying into Bitcoin. They're buying into crypto. And when you have, let's talk about this real quick, and we're going to bring Ryan up here. When you have the dollar, okay, I showed this in October. I think I showed this in September. I showed this on the September call. And I was explaining that I think the market was going to come up here and it's done exactly that. And now I think the dollar has the potential to reverse or to go to the downside from here, maybe, which could send assets like gold, which is already almost, gold's going to 3,000, 3,000 an ounce, going to 3,000. And this push to the downside could really send BTC where I think it can go. Okay. So very, very key. And the last chart I'll share with you, and then we're going to bring up our guest here, is this dominance. And if you experience, let me know in the chat if you guys experienced the 2021 altcoin run. Okay. One of the reasons that that run happened to begin with is the Bitcoin dominance came into about almost, it came into 70%. What does that mean? It means that 70% of the money in crypto was in Bitcoin. Now, here's the thing. When money leaves Bitcoin, it doesn't just like vanish. It moves. Money's always moving. It's always circulating. That's why people that save money are always broke. People that are just hoarding money, just saving for a rainy day. And then a damn hurricane shows up, right? We're not going to talk about hurricanes, but 70% of the money was in Bitcoin. What happens? The dominance of Bitcoin starts to drop and it goes down. Now, Bitcoin's price, yes, Bitcoin's price went down with it, but a lot of that money moved into what? Into altcoins. What altcoins? Ethereum and all these different altcoins, right? You know them, or maybe you've heard of them. That money moved into them, and that's when we had a crazy run. Well, I'm expecting history to repeat. We've had this drawn out for almost 2 years here, and I think when the dominance comes into this box and we slow down and we start to drop is when you'll see a $500, $600, $700, $800 Solana. When you'll see Ethereum back over $5,000, $6,000. We look at this chart right here for all the haters on Solana. Solana versus Ethereum is at an all-time high. What does that mean, Mike? Well, this chart represents the strength between Sol and ETH. So if this chart is going up, Solana is getting more money and Ethereum is getting less money. Powerful. Yeah. Powerful. So with that being said, here's what we're going to do. Real quick before I bring up Ryan, I want to actually share this with you guys. This is an individual who really doesn't need to be here. We've become like brothers. We've become very, very close, played on the same softball team. And when you talk about in life, following people that have results, like obviously Ryan, you guys can read these articles by themselves for yourself, but he's done hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate transactions, multiple 8-figure transactions like this one right here, 22.5 million. And the transaction was in crypto. So I need you guys to go crazy in the chat. I don't know if you can see the chat, Ryan. We're on YouTube, but definitely welcome to the call, bro. I know you don't do too much speaking engagements and events, but I'm glad that you're here, bro. And if you can hear me, welcome to the call. Have you jump in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Give me 2 seconds, Mikey. Give me 2 seconds.
You're good. Guys, go crazy in the chat. Continue to share this thing out. We have a legend in the building. Drop some 7s in the chat on YouTube and hit that like button, and we're going to get this thing going. We have a really, really good conversation for y'all, and we're going to actually show this this poly market chart. Ryan, let me know when you're good, and we'll kick this off. But if you guys haven't seen, people are betting on the election. Okay, now we're not gonna make any bets here, but according to Polymarket, okay, this is a place that people are betting in crypto. You can see the numbers, and I don't really care who you're voting for, to be honest with you. If you're in the US, encourage you to definitely vote. But you can see here, this is real money. Okay, there's $2.4 billion in just this one phase of the election. Ryan, we got Ryan in the building. What's up, bro?
Hey, can you see me?
Oh, you are good. Let me make this so we can see both of us. Add pin. Can you guys see me and Ryan?
Where'd this just go? Sorry, I'm not a live guy, but I think we're ready to rock. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think so. Let's put this. Boom. Awesome, bro. How we doing? How was the gym? How are you
It's
feeling?
good. It's good. We're rocking. I mean, it's a beautiful day and you got to take advantage. So I was up early. Not much to trade today, not much going on. So excited to be here.
Love it. Well, bro, fill everybody in on maybe a little bit of your background. We've been friends for a long time. And then we'll get into kind of like what's going on with Bitcoin and with real estate and some of that transaction. But who is Ryan Farbstein?
Yeah, well, first off, appreciate you having me on here. And for everybody that is tuned in, I mean, Mikey is an he calls me a legend, but I think you guys have to understand that Mikey's literally a legend. I mean, he talked about us being on the softball field and he looks at me and I wasn't heavy down the down the Web3 rabbit hole and crypto. And it was really Mikey and a couple of the guys that I was surrounded with, lucky enough to be around, that really put me on game and had me really open up my eyes to more investment side, but we always saw it as a viable sector to really pioneer. So I mean, I remember being on the baseball field. Mikey looks at me, XRP's at like 20 cents, 25 cents. He's like, grab some of this right now. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're doing. And we made a huge rip. I mean, just as much as maybe last week, and you gave the call out for free on your live on YouTube, and you gave out Peloton, and I took Peloton for a ride, and that was unbelievable. So, I mean, I hope you guys understand that the alpha that you guys are getting from Mikey is crazy, and he's literally this guy. Mikey's that guy. So, who am I? I appreciate that, but who am I? I work with my brother. I mean, we're a brother duo, real estate duo out of Miami, from the Northeast, from New Jersey, and I think our claim to fame has really been the consistent ability to transact at the highest levels of the industry. So our minimum, our average sale price is around 5 million, and it's teeter-tottered and it's gone and escalated all the way up to 35 million was the most expensive property that we sold. And then of course the historic sale in crypto, which was for $22.5 million, and it was for the lower penthouse of a building in Surfside called Arte, which personally I feel is the #1 building and the most exclusive building in all of South Florida, Miami Beach.
Fire, bro. That's crazy. How long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate for 5 years, but I was also a real estate developer and we were in the smart home business previous to us being agents.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So walk me through that transaction in Bitcoin. Like, how does that even come about? Who initiated the conversation? Did the seller or did the buyer like just want Bitcoin, like had Bitcoin, was just ready to buy something? Walk us through that, because some people on here, like, they don't believe like one day you can buy stuff with Bitcoin, and you did this like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, it takes somebody to be the first to do anything. So Max and I, it was a combination of all things. It was my brother Max and I being prepared and having the right resources, the right company, the right title company, the right lawyers around to make that happen. So it was the preparation of knowing and seeing that this is a viable opportunity to kind of pioneer. Then also at the same time having a buyer that was able and willing and wanted to do this, and then also a seller that was willing and able to accept and do this sort of transaction. Real estate has always been traditionally a very old school business. There's not much innovation. There's not much forward thinking. And people are really stuck in the old way of doing things. And now we see this adaptation. And if you're not ready to adopt and adapt a new way of thinking and a new style, then you'll get left behind. So I mean, we had thought that up until this point there'd be a little bit more innovation, a little bit more acceleration in this, but I think it's a testament to where the prices of cryptocurrencies right now. I think they're just, a lot of people are waiting for a little bit more before they start to take some profits off the table. And if they did, I think that they still have open positions and money left in the market. So I think when we do see, like last time that transaction happened, almost at the all-time highs. And what was interesting is you see, people that have been in this that could afford a $22.5 million penthouse that were taking profits when other people were getting really bullish at the tops of the market. So I thought that was a really interesting, piece of information that I received from all of this. So to kind of weave this back into the original question, I think it was a combination of all people, of us having been prepared and ready and able to do this. I think having the buyer that wanted to do this and having the seller that was able to or that was open to receiving this. So I can't really go into details on which coin and some of the minute details, but I can give a more vague answer and response, just out of respect to my client's privacy and the transaction NDAs and whatnot. But really, it was my my suggestion and my experience, because that was the most notable of the transactions, but we've done many of them. The easiest way to do it is basically, and it's possible, you have to have two willing and able parties. So if the sellers are open to it, great. If the buyer is open and wants to do it, great. So now you have those two factors solidified. So when you take it a step further, then you basically, my suggestion would be you want to convert that into a stable coin so that you're not dealing with the volatility, because a crypto real estate transaction could be a 30-day close, could be a 60-day close, and the volatility of the markets over a 30 to 60-day period. I mean, let's just even call it as soon as a 15-day period. You know, you could see, we saw what Bitcoin did in the last 15 days. You know, we could be at 85,000 in 15 days. We could be at 50,000 in 15 days. So ideally, you'd like to move it into a stable coin so you're not dealing with the volatility, so you can focus on, you know, the process. You do have to KYC in order to do it. With the regulations that are in place right now, the regulations are obviously always moving. So it's really important to stay up to date. So some of the information I may give today might change tomorrow, but the most up-to-date information would be, and my suggestion would be, move into a stable coin, approach a real estate agent that has some information on this, that has a title company and an attorney that can really talk to some of the minutiae and the details of the transaction. And when you have those parties in place and the seller's willing to do it and everybody's on board, then it's very possible to move the money into a stable coin. So while you're doing the process, when you're closing on the property, you know, you're not dealing with the volatility, the price is going up, price isn't going down. So all parties are happy. Because I think, you know, in the original, the large transaction, you know, that was a concern of the developer. It wasn't a seller. It was actually a developer who was open and willing to do this. So out of COVID, there was a small period of time when super prime, ultra luxury real estate was stagnant for a minute. Now, great assets were trading, of course. And when I tell you the transaction volume, we all know in Miami went crazy during COVID. So around that time, there was a very, very short period of time. And I think it was, if we look back at the timing, it was right around the initial crash when people were just in pure fear and they didn't really have any clarity. And for the few people that did, they were smart enough to say, hey, you know, we know that these people are going to come back into the market, give it another month or two. And we saw that happen and accelerate very quickly. So around that time, the developer had put out a handful of articles, and he had been promoting to the, you know, top agents that had buyers that could purchase the property, that he was willing to do a deal in cryptocurrency. And so that was kind of the most innovative thing that we've seen in new development in real estate down here in Miami. Now, it wasn't every day that a developer was willing to, you know, deal with the lenders, deal with the underwriters, and to calm everybody down the transaction that they're going to do something and spearhead an entire new way to do this. And they were willing and open to do so. So it was a very cool transaction. The developer was a pleasure to work with. The buyer was fantastic. And it was a win-win across the board for everybody.
Bro, I have a question for you on that. Do you think one day real estate gets evaluated at the prices of Bitcoin or ETH or another crypto? Like, instead of us going on like the MLS or wherever we look at properties, you know, there's like the dollar amount, but it's also like, hey, we'll take 6 Bitcoin for this or 15 Bitcoin. Do you think that happens in the next couple of years?
It's a great question. And I think we're actually starting to see some of that. I don't want to name any names on the live, but there are a handful of properties right now that are advertising to the, you know, the core. There's about really 20 of us that really run the business down here that do the majority of the volume, even though there's about 20 to 30,000 real estate agents here in South Florida. So there's really a small collective of us that are doing the handful of volume. And what we found is that there are a multitude of sellers right now that are coming to the market and actually advertising to us. I want, let's say the number is $40 million. They're saying, I want 800, you know, give or take Bitcoin for it. And they're not even asking for the dollars. You know, you see some of the articles and they're asking for the Bitcoin, and that's all that people care about. And I think it's really interesting. I think I think the sentiment is starting to shift very quickly, realizing that why would I want to receive the depreciating dollar rather than take in the currency that's appreciating? So I think that's important to note that, yeah, absolutely. Great question. The sentiment is definitely changing, and sellers are definitely promoting receiving cryptocurrency way more than they ever have.
Have you seen realopen.com?
I have.
You've seen that, right?
Yeah,
Is it okay if I
it's a
show
great
that?
company. Say it
Okay.
again.
I'm going to show it. We're not
Yeah,
endorsing
please
this
do.
at all. But just for like the skeptical people, like people are
Okay,
listing.
I don't want to interrupt you, but if you go up just a little bit, go
Yep.
down, right, go down one more. That is a picture of the building. The reason they use your crypto without withdrawal limits, that is a picture. That's not the unit, but that's a picture of a unit in that building that I was talking about. That's Arteg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, where we did the transaction. It was very cool. That's why it's showing you 28 million and 420 Bitcoin.
Dang, that's correct. Guys, drop
Oh,
some ones in the chat if you get some value.
so just to give a little context and some color on this, I mean, we received a call, my brother and I, yesterday, knowing that this unit was coming to market, and a colleague of ours is the one that brought it to market, and they called us immediately and say, hey, here's the deal, here's how much ETH we want, here's how much Bitcoin we want, and please help us out. So
Dang, that's great. Hey, if we have any, so you need a seller or you need a buyer, right?
I do. So if anybody wants to buy this, I'm happy to
Yeah,
help.
yeah. Hey, hit up Ryan. All right. Hey, maybe you never know. This is get some good eyes on this. Who's got 1,100 ETH though? 11,000 ETH.
I
Jeez.
think it's scary the amount of people that actually are holding on to this amount and what I've seen come out of the woodwork to actually try and do this.
Dude, think about it. If you're in crypto, let's say 10 years ago, and you have like not even a crazy amount of cash, just like something, and you buy ETH like under a couple $100 or under a $50, there are people that have it. Like you said, I met a guy at Komodo once. He had like 50,000 Ethereum. I was like, showed
Oh.
me his wallet. I was like, holy,
That's what
holy,
I mean. Like you just would never know. And there's so many
yeah.
people here next to us right now with that kind of liquidity available.
It's wild. And just like real quick, like you guys can see, like multiple, even this one is like 5 Bitcoin in California. So it's not just luxury, guys. I think it's going to be for all different types of properties. Now let's transition here. We'll keep like the main meat and potatoes of politics. Maybe we'll get into it, whatever. 2.4 billion is bet on the election, bro. I want to ask you a question.
Shoot.
Do you think the president matters to the everyday person? Like, should the everyday person be more concerned about who the president is, or like building their own goals and dreams and their business and like what they're doing?
I think I think it's a great question. I think people should really be focused on how to get their life stable and on a steady trajectory upwards, and then you can start to really dive into who's the best candidate, who's going to be the best fit for the country, who's going to be able to stimulate some growth and economic growth and avoid war, and we can go down this and talk. But I absolutely do think that people need to get their own lives
Yeah.
situated, and then they can focus. But I think that both obviously play a role off one another.
Yeah, I just, people get like really emotional about it. And I get it, like for sure, because, it could definitely make people feel a certain way. But, if you're struggling right now and you're listening, yes, this is recorded, guys. It's on YouTube. If you're struggling right now, like focus on, yourself and taking care of your family. And then, like Ryan said, you can worry about this later. Actually, I want to go back to real estate. I actually have this other site. So this, once again, zero affiliation here. Have you seen this thing called Meta Wealth?
I'm loving these companies. I'm glad you're bringing up all these.
Bro, I just found this. Solana posted them. And this is, what are your thoughts? So one of the categories, right, in crypto that I teach is like RWAs, real world assets. And here people are getting these these tokens that are representing like a equity or like a share, however, whatever the terminology is, of this like pre-construction buildings. And these have been sold out. What are your thoughts on this?
I think this is a brilliant advancement in investing. I think this gives people the ability and the exposure to get into better assets and in a tokenized way when they traditionally would be priced out of these opportunities. And I think that this is going to really help across the board. I think it's going to help super prime real estate. I think it's going to help the everyday real estate. I think that people are going to be able to generate more money and income and revenue from the ability to invest in tokenized real estate.
So walk me through this. Like somebody's new here, and let's say they have like $5,000, right? They're not buying anything with $5,000, but how would that process work? They would get KYC'd.
Yeah.
How would the tokenization of a real estate work if you can break that down?
I think we got to look at it from a macro level and then break it down. So I think the most important thing would be, the ability to get invested into an asset traditionally that they would get priced out of. I think that's the first thing. And we know that a lot of these super prime pieces of real estate have accelerated in appreciation over the last few years. So, the rich have gotten richer, the middle class have been priced out of these opportunities. And I think that this will give them the ability to get some exposure on the same assets that the people that they're striving to be like would already have exposure to. So I think what's important is that the acceleration of these assets are astronomical. I mean, let's just pick a random property in Miami for South Florida, just because, we're both here. And the markets have, appreciated a conservative 30%. So, people would be able to take that $5,000 if you didn't want, or if you were overexposed or just needed a little bit of in other avenues of investing, they can get involved here, put that $5,000 to work, and a 30% return over, a year or two is fantastic, conservatively. So I think the issue is a little bit more on the liquidity problem, because this would be way more advantageous if we up the investment. If we're talking about a $100,000 investment, obviously you have to start small. Not everybody's got that, but I think for demonstration purposes, it's a little cleaner. When an asset goes from let's just say 100,000 to 200,000, and you own a fraction of that, that's fantastic, where you potentially wouldn't have been able to even purchase that, or you would be so over leveraged, borrowing money, taking out mortgages, when interest rates were so high. And then, here you are on this cascading adventure of refi and trying to pray that rent costs continue to run up so that you can break even it and take some money home. So I think where people were traditional investors, and I think you see the decline of Airbnb in real time, and you see the acceleration of tokenized real estate investing, moving the needle.
Do you think that could happen with, like, let's say I own a building or I own one property? The people that are paying rent, like when they pay rent, it's through like a token. Do you think that could just trickle up as well?
Absolutely. I think it's a totally untapped sector so far, and it's in its infancy. So, it's tough to speculate, because this could go parabolic, and that would be the best thing for us. I mean, that would be unbelievable to see this really take off. Would be awesome. And I think that
Bitcoin out.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, my bad. That would probably push the price of Bitcoin up and Ethereum and the whole market, and also bring like legitimacy, right?
That's what we're getting at. That's the next part of this, is that we saw tremendous advancement when the NFT boom happened. And we really started to see, some of these assets start to go on the blockchain. And other companies like a Proppy, just to throw them out, is kind of streamlining this to try to get more properties on the blockchain, so that we can, when you're closing a property, investing in real estate, it's way more streamlined. So it's not this long drawn out process with attorneys and paperwork and documentation and docu-stamps and all this type of stuff. So I think that that's great for the business. I think that's great for the industry. It will definitely raise prices and give people the ability to do something with this that they traditionally weren't really prepared to do anything with that money. They were just, they'll leave it sit there in cold storage and come back to it 8 years later.
What is your go-to stable coin? Like, what are the top ones that you're seeing people use in real estate? USDC?
Yeah, USDC. I mean, just because the US government, people have that. People have that confidence that there's not going to be some sort of,
like Tether.
Yeah.
Tether actually, I think they were actually buying real estate a couple years ago, and that's what created the whole like fear and FUD with Tether. So what's your 10-year projection on crypto in real estate? Like, what do you think takes place in the next 10 years, or 2030, by 2030?
I think it looks totally different than traditionally the way that we're doing things today. I think that, the attorneys that are handling the closings and, again, the paperwork and trying to get these deals to the finish line are essentially going to be streamlined. And a lot of their jobs you'll see a decline in these people, just because the automation is going to be great. And once you have the, maybe the NFT is not the right wording for it, but once you start to see some of these advancements in the, title, and some of these documents go on the blockchain and the properties listed there, I think it's going to help move the needle and move the process along way more efficiently. And I think that we're going to be able to see way more opportunity in the industry for people to hedge their exposure both ways. So if you're overexposed in real estate, I think it'll be very easy for you to get involved in cryptocurrency and back and forth the same way, the same ease of onboarding onto cryptocurrency. Yeah, I think it'll be the same way in the next 10 years. And I think more people are going to want to receive, to your point, earlier, I think people are going to want to advertise in the cryptocurrencies, not so much in the US dollar, because as the dollar depreciates, that number's coming down. And we wanted to touch a little bit on the politics. And it's one thing I did want to bring up is that we absolutely will see a shakeup in this market. I mean, if Kamala does win, she's proposing that she's going to give $25,000 tax credits to new home buyers. Now, if you have a home and you know that the government was going to subsidize these new buyers, $25,000, what are you doing as the seller? You're going to raise the price. Your asking price $25,000. So it's going to inflate the prices of real estate even higher. The sellers are more discerning. They're going to eviscerate these buyers who think that they're getting a great government subsidized program, not realizing that the inflation of real estate is going to skyrocket, which means that rent prices are going to come up. And I'm no macroeconomist. This is just very common sense thought. So I think that when we see this, I think more people are going to want to advertise to tie this all in. More people are going to want to advertise in the cryptocurrencies that we see as the appreciating assets rather than the depreciating dollar, or even some of the other world currencies.
Yeah. Does real estate crash in the next 5 years or 10 years? Do you think we get a crash, or depends on the market?
I think we would all like to see some level of like a healthy correction, because what we've experienced the last 3-4 years, if we were to just moon, in November 5th, and it would be a little frightening, because we'd be looking and saying, hey, this is very unhealthy. This is, almost bubble-like, and I don't like it. I think that there are definitely going to be some protected markets. I think South Florida being one of them, and I see, somewhere like a California, just plummeting even farther. It's like, how bad can the crash go? Luna is, my opinion, California and some of these other, radical cities that have just been on steady decline. And I think that there are markets that will be more protected and less prone to some of this correction. But I absolutely do think that there will be a correction. It makes sense that there would be. I think that if we were to look back, and I'm sure many of your students are aware, because I know you talk about this often, when the Fed cuts, traditionally, you see about a couple of weeks after the Fed pivot, you see almost a blow off top in markets, and then you see a nice healthy correction after that. Markets trickle up as the increases are happening, and as the Fed cut happens, rates come down. I think you see prices also come down, and I think that people right now are priced out of investing in these assets. And you see companies like BlackRock grabbing up all the single family homes. It's just not healthy. I mean, the trajectory we're on right now is not great, and there's a huge housing shortage. So we're not building enough houses to support the demand right now. So that could help us to stay afloat. But I see a lot of issues. The supply chain. I mean, traditionally, my brother and I, Max, we're developers and builders, and our father's a builder, and the cost of materials has been a nightmare over the last few years. So, I think attributed to that shortage is the unwillingness of market participants to get back into the market when times were so great the last, 4 or 5 years. During COVID was really the time a lot of us made an absolute killing. And I know you asked about the new development in the buildings, not just the single family homes. And to give some color and some context, my brother and I purchased pre-construction in one of the buildings, and the appreciation was fantastic. I mean, we made over 100%, but it takes a lot of liquidity to do that. Those acquisitions were $3 million, sold them for $5-6 million. So I think that people can now see some of that appreciation and some of that profit when they're tokenized, and they have the ability to get into those investments, because most people couldn't do that. Even if you had $250,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, you couldn't even get access to those investment opportunities. So not to deviate so far, but I definitely wanted to tie this all back.
Yeah, I think tokenization, like it levels the game, and it gets more liquidity, and it's like tokenizing stocks, right?
Yeah.
Netflix is $800. You have to buy one share, or you have no shares, right? So you add retail money in there, everybody throwing in portions. You see what they're going to do with the New York Stock Exchange, make it 24 hours, 5 days a week.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, they know people are losing.
Yeah.
But also you have like sports betting is more invested in than people buying crypto stocks right now. It's a weird time we're living in. Everything
Very.
sports betting now on TV. It's
I want to ask you a question because I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Do you think that they're doing that with the anticipation of some sort of crazy event where they want trading to be available? I don't know. I mean, now we're going down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but I definitely want to ask you.
yeah, no, they are. They are because like Robinhood right now, they bringing back crypto. They're launching a futures platform. They're going to launch futures trading on crypto on like Robinhood. So they want retail money to come in. Like they know people are not making money at their jobs, and trading looks like the golden way out for most, and really it's just the way a lot of people just continue to lose because they're uneducated. So yeah, I think they saw like the retail spike during COVID, and bro, they want like that trading volume and fees and people that are just losing. It's a good perspective.
Yeah,
um
I absolutely agree.
yeah, they just want to just take advantage of people. So whatever
They
they can
want that
do,
retail liquidity. They're
bro.
that.
You can't watch ESPN anymore without them promoting ESPN Bet. Like before the Dodgers game last night, they're like, here's the parlay of the game. And it might have actually even hit now that I think about
If somebody took that, let us know. Drop in the chat. If somebody
it.
took that.
There's some questions for you, bro, in the chat, and then we'll let you
Yeah,
get
sure.
going here.
I'm not. You want to read them out? I don't have it
Yeah,
up.
I got you. So somebody said, what do you think the effect of the BRICS currency would do to the world economy? Like,
Ooh.
BRICS, like they want to create like a one economy, one currency.
I think destabilization of the dollar is detrimental to the world for now until we have a better solution to most likely move back to a gold standard or a Bitcoin, crypto standard, something of that nature. So I don't think that it's great for the world right now, especially with the macro environment that we're currently in right now. I mean, people argue it's not World War III. I think we are fully in World War III. I
Yeah.
think you have to be very low IQ to not realize that we are and that this
Yeah.
is very turbulent times. I mean, people argue that back and forth, but I don't love the idea of the BRICS with the countries that are bringing this to market. I mean, they just had the meeting a day or two ago, and seeing President Xi and Putin together is very concerning. I mean, that's extremely, especially to as Americans in the country, it's very scary. What's the impact going to be to the country? What's the long-term effects of this going to be? And how are we going to eventually get back to a gold standard off of this endless cycle of money printing and inflation that we just can't seem to deviate from? And I'd like the United States to also, be more open. And I love that Trump is talking about it right now, that he wants to be the crypto capital for the world. I mean, this is
Yeah.
crazy. We're going to watch another massive sector of GDP stimulation and growth and job growth and all these great things that can come from it and technological advancement and not be the pioneers of this. So we really need regulation. We've got to get Gary Gensler out of the SEC.
Yep.
Certainly don't want to put Mark Cuban in the SEC as
Yeah.
and I'm sure everybody's been watching that. So I think we're all in agreement there. And what do I think about, to tie this back to the original question, what do I think about BRICS? I think that it's great that for the world that we're starting to challenge the traditional petrodollar because we all realize that it's not sustainable long-term for the next 100 years. I think at the same time, not by our biggest enemies and not in this time and not for the reasons that they're doing it. They're doing it to crumble the United States, not to bring stability to financial trade, global trade.
Facts. No, they don't, bro, they don't want, and they want to confuse us as much as possible. And like, our country needs guidance. A lot of people need guidance. Let me put my phone, my computer charger real quick. 1 second. I have
You're absolutely right.
another question. Yeah. The level of confusion going on right now. You saw that Beyonce rally yesterday? Oh my God. They filled up a stadium, said Beyonce was performing. Then they tried to sell the dream and it didn't work. Anyways, take a look at this. When Bitcoin gets to the market cap of gold, Ryan, that's the price of a Bitcoin. So for all those that are thinking this is too late, you're talking about 21 million coins, companies and countries putting it on their balance sheet. It's only 14 times away.
I mean, that is the number that most people are anticipating. And this is the viable way we get there. And to think that this would be comparable is absolutely realistic and attainable. I mean, if you think it is, then you don't understand money. You don't
Yeah.
understand, how money moves.
And dude, it's like 14 times away. Like, guys, please remember, this was at $1,000 in 2017. It went to 70. It's 70x in less than a decade. Okay. And that's when countries and companies were talking so much, so much shit about crypto. They were like so against us. And
This was only for criminals. It's for money
yeah,
launderers. I mean, that was literally what was going on in the sentiment around the markets. And, for the people like you that were way ahead of everybody else that really saw this as the future were, positioned properly. And I think that's the key metric in advancing in life is just, having access to great information, and acting on that.
bro, I love it. All right, last question, and then we'll get this thing rolling out of here. So somebody asked a two-part question. So somebody in the chat, Natasha, said, what was the feedback from like the first Bitcoin sale you did, just like the overall experience? And then to add to that, that was in 2021, right? At the high, correct?
Yeah.
So what if somebody that was doing that transaction that sold their property, knew trading, believed the bear market was coming, went into stablecoin and got back in at lows? What are your thoughts on that? So what was the feedback, and could you trade real estate? Do you think you'll be able to trade real estate in crypto like we trade in the markets if you have that skill?
I absolutely hope that that's where we get to. I think that it would be very advantageous for developers. And my brother and I work in New Dev. We're lead sales for a few buildings, and we can talk more about that separately. But I would love to see developers package a collection of their units that they're willing to hold on to and rent out, that would be cash flow positive, that they're willing to offer to a marketplace in the form of, maybe ETF isn't right, or however they're going to package and deliver it. The ability to invest in those would be fantastic. I also see, and hear me out, when you buy pre-construction, there's a payment schedule, right? So let's just say you reserve the unit, you pay 20% down at contract, you pay another 20% at break ground, and then it goes on and on until the closing. What if you were able to put that money, and let's just say hypothetically that unit that you were purchasing was 10 million bucks. Let's bring it to $1 million, which is more realistic. If it's $1 million, well, you don't want to put 20% of $1 million down, and it just there while the developer takes that money, uses it for the construction and for the materials and the build, when you could have put that money in a market. Let's just say, Bitcoin was appreciating 60% a year, 100% a year. You would much rather have had that, $200,000 in the markets rather than sitting stagnant in the real estate while the developers were moving that money how they saw fit or whatever they were doing with it. I would like to see them put it in some interest-bearing type of an account so that we can bridge the beauty of both things, so you can really get exposure and get into great assets in the real estate side, but also that money isn't sitting stagnant where then you're interest-bearing on that cash. So you can actually stimulate some money, and then there'd be exposure on both ends, and then you can kind of decide which one of those baskets of assets you're going to end up. So maybe it's a 60% Bitcoin, 40% stable, available cash, and then or 60-30, and then 10 in alt, whatever the collection is going to be. But I think that would be fantastic innovation for the industry. And then remind me again, what was the original question? I was deviating
like the feedback. So the overall Bitcoin feedback from that transaction.
So this was. Excuse my friend, this is fucking awesome because it happened in, I think, less than 7 days. Wow. From contract to closing in that quickly. And that's traditionally, crazy. If you were to try to move that kind of money in from let's just hypothetical Chase or any of the banks and to close, there would be days. I mean, that money would be floating. I mean, this happened instantly. Within 5 minutes, that money was transferred. The attorney had it sitting in escrow. It was, and ready to deploy immediately. And what's really interesting and cool is that when that does happen, if you are interested in doing this, and something I didn't touch on earlier, you can pay in cryptocurrency. And basically, the entire thing is just the attorney sends you an invoice, just like an Apple Pay.
That's sick.
And you just click pay, and whatever you want to pay in, whatever coin, no problem. And then. So let's just say let's just role play real quick. I'm the buyer, you're the seller. If you say, hey, I want to receive US dollar and I don't want any cryptocurrency, fine, no problem. There's a small conversion fee that's made, and that money hits I pay in whatever crypto I want to use. You receive the US dollar.
What is that, bro? What is that what is that middle ground?
So the conversion, since it wasn't very competitive to begin with, when this kind of first really started a couple years ago, the conversion rates were very high. They were somewhere with like around 5%. So if you're doing a $20 million transaction, the conversion rate is 5%. Let's just say you're a $50 million transaction, the conversion is 5%. Crazy. Nobody's going to do that. So now they've brought it down significantly, and to work around the regulations, basically it's hovering right now at around 2.5%. And there are different companies right now, some offering less to be more competitive, to grow in the market, to gain some exposure, some share. And then there are other companies more established that are like, hey, we've been here. We're going to charge a little bit more because we have the proven success. So I like to see the competition in the market. So the original question was, what was the process like? The process was fantastic. And if I could somehow sit on a board or, be a part of these conversations on a judicial level and on a political level, I would love to be involved, because I'd love to move the needle here and make it even more streamlined and more efficient. Because I think that this could be the future, and these long dragged out closings, if you guys are watching this and you've ever sold a property or purchased a property, the closings are so long, exaggerated. The process is Stone Age ancient, and there's been no innovation. So this is the most exciting time for the industry, because now we're starting to see possibilities, and we like to see these young, innovative entrepreneurs that are coming up with these great ideas to kind of move the needle.
Bro, that was such a guys. Drop some ones in the chat for that. Okay, I have one last question, because this is the business that I want to get into. We're gonna probably do it together. Is right now, are there like, how there's like hard money lenders and like cash and stuff? Is that happening in crypto? Let's say I want to buy a property, it's $1 million. I want to put whatever, 20, 30, 40% down. The other 500-600K, like, could that be a loan in crypto? Like, I want to be the person on the back end, right? That's giving that loan like a bank. And then how would that work? Is that happening already? And then two,
I think it's happening, but it has not been brought mainstream yet. I think that there are definitely companies that are working on this and trying to move the needle here. But I'm glad that you asked the question, because I think that is also the future. Is that why are we only talking on the buy side or the sell side? I think that people also should be on the lend side and the underwriter side. So I know that everybody respects you on this call as the DeFi ledge. So I think that if we can get some of what's been transpiring in the DeFi world and bring that to the real estate transaction, let underwriters get into deals, fund these deals, lend out money, I think that this would be fantastic for the business and move the needle, and it allows people like you and I to get on the other side of this and profit. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, you have like the decentralized, like the Aves and all that.
Right.
And I think that's what Trump's family is using. I think they're using liquidity from Aave.
So that's a great thing you bring up, because Trump's best friend is a guy named Steve Witkoff. And for the people that don't know on this call, Steve Witkoff is one of the best, most legendary developers in the country, a New York guy, and he's also the guy behind this Liberty. And I'm sure you could probably speak on it better than I can, but the idea to make onboarding into crypto easier, more simplified is fantastic for everybody here and every facet. I mean, I don't see one net negative that comes from that at all. So I think that as the onboarding and the offboarding becomes more streamlined, it's going to be easier for these micro segments to really pop off. So I think that from the lend side, to be able to move money and to do this way more efficiently it will pop, just because we're seeing more macro things like the onboarding, offboarding into crypto become easier. And I know that you just did a big session on Jupiter, the onboarding of the dollars, and it was really important. I hope that all you guys have tuned into that, because that's the most difficult that's the biggest challenge right now, is getting new people in and out of crypto who want to move money simultaneously, quickly in and out. Okay, well, if you put money into Coinbase, it's a 12-day lockout period, which is crazy. So and it's like that for across the board. And there's been some innovation, the MoonPays and these type of companies and MetaMask, you could buy a little bit more efficiently, but there are still limits. And it's not to the point where it needs to get. So I'd like to see this move, and I think that that'll happen once we replace Gary Gensler, which I'm sure you're in agreement with, and we get some better regulation. And I think more companies will inject more liquidity. You see some of these traditional financial companies come in, not so much to invest, but because they're already investing in the coins themselves, but more so in the innovation of these companies, so that we can kind of move the advancements of some of those subsectors.
Man, dude, I think crypto real estate, I've been saying it for some years, like there's like layers to it, and it's like it's like unraveling, and you were like one of the first to really do it. But there's like so much more to it. So bro, I'm excited to have you back on the channel. Guys, leave some feedback. I'm gonna send it to Ryan. I owe you lunch, so let me know when we're getting lunch and the spot. And
let me make it very clear to the chat. You owe me nothing. I've been making absolutely crazy wins from Mikey. I owe you. So thank you for having me on here. And I hope your community and everybody tuning in had learned something today. And feel free, if you guys have questions, reach out to Mikey. He'll put you in contact with me, and however.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop guys Ryan's Instagram in the description of this chat, and then send out the replay, guys, to your friends. And bro, it's been a pleasure. I'm gonna call you after.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, brother. I see you later. All right, guys, this has been incredible.
Thanks, guys.
Last slide. Guys, drop some sevens for Mr. Ryan Farbstein. The next State of Crypto call is going to be on November 23rd at 12 p.m. Eastern. If you don't know where to start in crypto, you can start here, happybullrun.com. It's a free course I put together. And then my official website is just my name, MikeSotero.com. Guys, it's been fun. Ryan, thank you so much once again, bro. I'll put his Instagram in the description, guys. Feel free to send this out. And we are live once a month. The next one, November 23rd. I'll see y'all.